Hello everybody, this is Cale from Savannah, and this is my video response to the Crathar and Winterowd social justice paper. So I agree with them, and I appreciate that they include that it's a goal and a process. It's simply a moving target. I don't believe you would ever achieve social justice and then walk away and say, all right, job done. I agree that broad access to resources and opportunities to participate in legislation and legal issues is very important, especially to underserved people. On page 4, they're careful to admit that social justice is when the needs of most are met. I simply don't think, kind of going back to my earlier point, you could just solve the problem. Everybody's problems are addressed and you're done. So there's a real balancing act here. I like that Crathar and Winterowd mentioned the Huxley and Kenner, Kearns, and Dothreeb's points on shared values leading into the Golden Rule discussion. I think those shared values are part of what makes multicultural counseling even possible. I agree with the Golden Rule in its purest form could be a little bit of a dangerous position in the counseling environment. I agree with the author's amended Golden Rule proposition to an extent. I don't know if I could always do as the client wants me to do for them. I believe it's important to keep their best interest in mind, even if that could be against their wishes. I know that sounds a little harsh. But there are ethical concerns. What if the client wants to kiss you? What if they're naive and they just say, well, hypnotize me so I forget all my problems? What if they're self-destructive, court-ordered, or resistant to therapy? I can't just let them choose from the menu and select their counseling for the day. So my personal golden rule for now is do unto others as all of my training, experience, and the hand of the Lord would have me to do, with full respect and love. I base this on Matthew 22:39, which is love your neighbor as yourself, which is God's second greatest commandment for his children. The authors mention underserved, oppressed, and marginalized groups with an emphasis on social change. As I get deeper into the reread, I start to think of other groups other than ethnicity, SES, or education. I'm thinking of people like drug addicts, low-functioning people, even elderly people. Each has a very different need, and the numbers seem to be growing in every group. So, in response to the social justice article, I have to think of this with a new framework. And when I think of this, I think, when do I choose for one group over another with limited resources, or when do I choose to continue with status quo? So I kind of fantasize that a benefactor gives me a large sum of money, and I'm heading an organization. I have several groups that I support. Going back to the page 4 participation for most people point, I think, well, how do I allocate the funds? Do I pile it all on the largest group? Do I spread it evenly among all the groups so that everybody has a little piece of the action? Do I choose one program that has better supported outcomes than another? Or do I use the funds to continue an organization that has been functioning pretty well, that could use the funds? So I know there's no real answer for that. I just think that's the framework I would use when I was deciding how I would administer my counseling, my time, my services, funds, resources at hand. I really get the idea of social justice from this article, but before I did see it as a smaller thing. Now I have a greater respect for the big iceberg under the water. So I appreciate all you listening. I look forward to seeing your blogs as well.